Riot Games Arena, welcome to Stage 1 Playoffs. Let's bring our first team out to the stage looking to steal a win. It's 100 Thieves!
It's good to see those finger guns back, Elizabeth. Love to see it. Of course, here comes 100 Thieves now. And again, a lot of pressure on this team, but you heard in that video, avoid Aspas. I'm not gonna lie, you might need a little bit more than that against this MIBR team, Emily. I don't know.
No, for sure, especially with how well rounded out we were talking about it. Like, it's not just Aspas anymore. He has a whole team supporting him. And if that's their game plan, I don't know.
Yeah, of course, there's got to be a little bit more under the hood, though. I have no doubt in my mind.
Let me inject a little chaos into this, because the wise man Finesse said something in that promo that struck me, and honestly, he's 1,000% right. Playoff start, it's an entirely different tournament, it's an entirely different bracket. True. Any team can catch fire. And if Brent is right that this is not as close, or is not as like one-sided of a matchup as people think it is, who knows?
E do outro lado, a última esperança brasileira. Faz barulho pro MIBR!
Same thing for XRM. Good to see him back in the studio here. Here comes MIBR, and, you know, of course, being led by the legend Aspas, but there is so much more to this team, as we have talked about, and it's an exciting time for MIBR because, Brent, you had really, I think you and Doug really highlighted it quite well. Season 1, Season 2, not the best of runs for this team, for this organization. Now MIBR contending for a Toronto spot in the playoffs.
What a turnaround, honestly, for the entirety of the org as well. You've got to give credit to as we've been giving it to, I think, Frod and Aspas as well, who have really built and curated this roster around them. They play quite simple but solid Valorant, I would say. They don't really go outside of the box like a lot of teams have been doing in terms of their compositions, but the reason it works is because it's just solid inherently. There's no weaknesses with the way that they play. Heavy setup, like with building around Aspas, making sure that you're enabling him to really get value, whether it comes down to execs or just slow playing, working the map and looking for picks. You know you're going to get consistent value with this guy at the helm. So I think this MIBR squad has got a lot going for them right now, and this map draft is something that I'm going to be particularly interested in, honestly, because I mean, looking at it just early days, Split, Icebox and Haven. I mean, Split's a middle ground map for both of these teams here, and I think this is, I was kind of thinking in my head, how is this map draft going to be playing out? And I was thinking this might be struggle town for 100 Thieves to try and find an advantage here. They've shown a lot of tape and a lot of weakness on a variety of maps leading into this playoff tournament and this playoff run. And MIBR, I think, have kind of stolen this game potentially, just even before it started.
Damn, potential 2-0 here, Emily. How do you feel?
I feel confident in the Icebox going to MIBR, but Split, I don't know. I feel like they could bring something up here.
Yeah, potentially, right? There's always a room for opportunity here. The question is whether or not 100 Thieves have the tools necessary to be able to do so. Doug, you're giving me a face.
I'm giving you that look. I think this is a clean 2-0.
That's right.
MIBR haven't lost a map on either of the first two maps. They're 2-0 on Split, 3-0 on Icebox. It's if we get to Haven that they've been dealt a map in this a map lost in this series. And I mean, it helps that MIBR are as good as they are, but their track record is pretty clean across the Split. I think it was Brent who mentioned it. This feels like they might have run away with it before they even worked their way into the server.
Ooh, okay. Well, here's the agent draft, and of course, we'll see what we end up getting here. I don't really expect anything too crazy here, but also opportunity to do something wild, Emily.
Yeah, just to be clear, 100 Thieves doesn't run the...
This is the 100 Thieves Sage stuff that they've been running. I was wondering if they were going to keep running this on Split. And I just had to look it up on my phone as well to see, like, how did they change it up even prior to this as well. But this is a composition that relies a lot on set plays, to be honest, because if your opponent has tape on you, and the way the 100 Thieves play, I don't know. It's a strange comp, honestly, and there's only so much you can really iterate and innovate on the same composition that you're running when it's out of the box like this. So, I don't know. There's a world where 100 Thieves do get the win, genuinely. They are good enough players, and if they can build up enough of a strat book, but the read is already there. Aspas was saying in that piece that we just saw.
Do you think it has to be Cryo popping off, though? Like, given the build, given the comp, given how they like to play this, given that it may be a little bit gimmicky, is it on Cryo?
This entire comp, I think, doesn't hinge everything onto Cryo and setting him up, honestly. It comes down to the team playing the composition well. They have execs, well, not execs, but they have set plays at the beginning of rounds when they start on defense, at least initially. They go for these big bursty plays down the extremities on A main, B main, whatever it is, with slow orbs, fault lines, and the salvos. But I don't know, the emphasis isn't on Cryo necessarily, I don't think. He's always going to have a good game. But for me, it's just like, how long can you keep running with this composition and keep innovating and showing new ideas on it? Because teams have already worked out how to play against it.
Yeah, there's only so many times all these like set plays that you were talking about that they have will work, and I'm just worried like if MIBR sees that and they have like reviewed them and countered them, how will they adapt with this comp?
MIBR are already a cautious team. They're willing to play slow at the beginning of these rounds as well, wait and feel it out a little bit. And, I mean, listen, that's just going to be to wait for the initial burst to see if 100 Thieves do anything as soon as the barriers drop. And generally, I would say as well, in terms of macro play, I would give an advantage over to MIBR. I think that they can work the map a lot better. They set up Aspas for success a lot better on top of it.
On the race? Got back on that one. Is that a change-up? I don't have my...
It's the same, it's the same combo they've always been running.
Okay, all right, and then of course we'll see what we end up getting. But you know, I gotta say though, there is a lot of pressure here for 100 Thieves. You know, knowing what we know about how this is playing out and the fact that there is a lot of tape on this one particular composition, and it's game one.
Yeah, no, I'm just really worried, especially going against the double controller. Like, they have so much util where they can just bait things out early, like you were saying, so.
Now, it's going to be an interesting one without a doubt, but folks, it's now time to get the playoffs started, and we're going to send it over to your casters. They are 100% younger than me, so I fear them. It is Mimi and Ender. I fear them.
You know, a little bit of healthy fears never hurt anybody.
I'm not sure that's the aura we give off, but I'll take it.
I don't know. I could be scared if you were walking down the street. You're pretty tall. Who's to say? All right, we have our first game of playoffs here. It's 100 Thieves, MIBR. These teams played once before this year. That was all the way back in Kickoff. And for an MIBR that hasn't done a ton of losing, only 2 series dropped to G2 and Sen, the 2 teams who made it to Masters Bangkok. Their only other loss was to 100 Thieves, and they got kind of rolled. 13-9, 13-4. Now a chance here for revenge as we start the playoffs.
And going into this first match as well, it's time for our Samsung match start. You can load up fast the Samsung SSDs. 100 Thieves versus MIBR is also going to be our first time seeing Alpha and Omega groups collide here in the first round of playoffs.
Now we are, and for MIBR, they start things over towards mid. When you're playing into 100 Thieves on your attack, I think a lot of the thought comes down to that Sage wall, when it's getting used, how to bait it out, and how to play around those timings.
Yeah, Cryo often not using that too early unless it's a quick dive into mail, so I like Osbos priming that dash, getting ready for the contact, play with the wall! Narrowly is going to get Cryo dealt with. Xander and Asuna getting a couple of kills on the backside. Those MIBR flood on into the site, and Xander just hiding, playing Ring Around the Rosie. On top of this pillar, he's not going to be able to find anything. A 2K from Artzine.
So a 3v2 on the retake. The wall from the friendly Sage of Cryo now almost works against 100 Thieves. They have to go for a jump over top to get back into this one.
Yeah, luckily you got those boxes, so it shouldn't... Oh no, the boxes, yeah, it's a good angle to get on through. No problem for EU, but really waiting for Boostio's flank to pay off.
Yeah, missiles in 5 seconds as well. So increased dead for the breach is stunned, but Boostio's been spotted out in main.
Good counter stun.
Missiles, that forces the fight, but Verno's the one to win it. EU drops into the site, but he doesn't clear behind him, and Cortesia locks up the pistol for the Brazilians.
That was an awkward pistol round, I think, to say the very least, right? Cryo thinks he escapes, but that nade missile combo just brutal.
But we're already seeing MIBR having some set game plans of how to deal with Cryo's common positions on the Sage. That was a very nice setup from them.
Yeah, I think when you watch Cryo play, his favorite spot to play is just in mail. And if there's a dive play like that, it's always going to be the wall coming down. Early attention into mid is going to be very effective, I think, for MIBR throughout this half to try and bait out that util.
All 5 players here for 100 Thieves. Stacked up towards B. There's an Omen here to receive, but he'll TP away from the trap play and should be able to make it out with his life as a little bit of support arrives from mid.
Yeah, bit of counter util, Artzine with the stun. Missiles called in from Verno. And now MIBR, you can see on the minimap, they're just instantly accelerating away from this. It's going to be no issues on this round.
MIBR has been doing a lot of the FPX buying this stage of getting 3 rifles, 2 pistols, getting a spike down here, keeping those guns up. Would be pretty nice for them to try and win out that bonus as well.
Yeah, even taking the time to pick up the orb there. Both Verno getting that in main, Artzine putting the spike down onto the ground. Just getting those 2 power ults online. One of the weaknesses you could maybe say with MIBR's comp is they don't have a lot of power ults, right? They're running the Jet instead of the Raze. One of those knives, of course, can be very high impact, but not the instant sight clearing piece.
Cortesia is playing all the way back here. Baits in for Verno, and it's a beautiful cleanup. And this is just the guy you want getting these kills. 3 more ult orbs given over to Verno.
And getting him and Artzine online early, very, very important. Cryo probably be looking to die to the spike here, but Shenum's going to take care of him, no problem. So on top of the fact that it is, you know, all 3 rifles saved, it's full armor maintained from Osbos, light armor on, I think that was Cortesia that didn't even get injured. So really nice second round from MIBR there.
And that's going to be 5 guns going into their bonus round.
I think one of the things you sort of look at these teams coming in, playing in their own separate groups. I feel like a lot of people think that Omega Group is looking very strong right now.
Of course, you have G2, C9, and of course MIBR all stacked up in that group.
Exactly, exactly. So 100 Thieves, it's been a bit harder to get the read on them because, you know, they've beaten, you know, the teams beneath them pretty convincingly. But how much better are they up against the competition on the other side of things?
Xander stunned, dashed on, and Osbos through the wall. Can't quite find the kill. Xander low, though. But MIBR, besides their own, a little bit backed up here. Cortesia doesn't have a ton of help, but as the gravel dissipates, soon teammates start to join him, flooding onto the site.
Yeah, my eyes are on mid right now. Shenum going for this late pinch in. Right now, 100 Thieves covering that, but with the spike planted, Cryo could turn his attention away at the wrong time.
Stun in, Xander for the first.
Wow.
Osbos! What a flick from him! Spray transfers on
and
to
here
2.
comes that mid lurk. Shenum with a rifle in hand. That's an easy little backstab. Cryo's got nowhere to go. MIBR convert.
I'm loving now from MIBR. 2 rounds where we've seen these contact plays with the fault line ready to go. They see someone, it's immediately stun missiles, Osbos dashing. The jet comp, well, it's a little unorthodox. Makes those kind of plays way easier than with the Rays.
Exactly. If you need to get out, of course you can. That spray transfer is just gnarly. Couple of headshots there. And really, I think because when you have the jet, you don't have the same reach as, you know, the double satcheling Rays can make happen. So getting just a little bit further out is always going to be important. Now 100 Thieves forced onto the pistol buy for themselves, this time stacking towards the A side of the map, but MIBR going back to that tried and true B side.
Xander gets spotted by the drone. I love the movement from Verno. Keeps it up for a tag. Osbos gets in, and now the next wave of utility should be able to deal with this one very well. MIBR get the plant down on Artson, and they're going to have Teo and Breach ult for this next round.
That's going to be absolutely brutal. Thieves, I think, because they've been forced onto a few ecos already, early on have just been doing a lot of very heavy stacking. And now MIBR have managed to call around it pretty perfectly each time. Here Boostio's just got a, I think, flash in hand, ready to come around this corner. 1-for-1's all right, but a good counter stun out Artson. Now he's on the hunt. That's going to make quick work of the 100 Thieves.
Verno's missiles will finish the job. They lose 2 members in the round, but it's a 4-0 start for MIBR. Are you seeing anything thus far that is of concern for 100 Thieves, or do you think this has more just been a couple nice plays from MIBR? They're snowballing the ults a little bit more, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, nice plays and like the opening kills on the entry. Like, because really the only real rounds we've had are rounds 1 and 3, and both times it was Osbos getting out in front, good utility following off of his contact. You know, Brennan was highlighting in the pre-show how effective MIBR have been at both trading out Osbos if he's going into sight and falling early, or just having good utility behind him. And so far, he's been staying alive, and the util, and trades have been there.
Talk about the set plays. Saw pings going up towards Cryo's common position in heaven, and this looks like it could be a similar thing. Contact up, stun ready to go on Artzine.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the pistol round.
Here comes the drone. Slow. That'll mean it's a little more difficult for Osbos to get in, but he dives forward, and this time Cryo in a position to escape.
Yeah, this time Osbos trying to make a lot of presence. As MIBR get ready to go, this breach ult in main is ready to rip onto these players. Everyone on site is stunned up, except for EU in heaven. 2 kills from him already. Can't quite convert it into a third, but 100 Thieves are making beautifully off of that counterplay.
Very nice. Just play back, give a little bit of space, and are immediately ready to fight back in. I think the Raze rocket from Asuna is especially crucial there. Satcheling into main, getting the kill on the player there, and then you have 100 Thieves cut off to, it's no longer a split, it's just straight up fight through heaven, where they're all trying to flood out of one choke point, where EU and Cryo have a crossfire.
And the breach ult, the only area it wasn't hitting was the Cryo player in hell and heaven, right? And that's where the majority of MIBR players were coming in from. So that crossfire, like you say, tears them up.
First round for 100 Thieves. MIBR, a similar look with the 1-3-1.
Yeah, we saw them do this same high-low setup in the previous round. This is sort of 100 Thieves reacting to MIBR going for the contact play, right? If MIBR aren't going to flash or drone around that first corner, well, Osbos is good enough to get one kill there pretty reliably, but he's not going to be able to get the second. That's what 100 Thieves are, telling themselves. Whether or not that's true, who knows? It's Osbos. You can never really
have to
tell.
Let him play it out.
I do like, though, MIBR slowing down the pace. We've seen 5 pretty quick rounds. Even if they've been slow at the start contacting in, it's been explosive each time.
Sage well used. That'll fall at 20 seconds, but already falling in heaven is Busio. Shannon picks just a perfect timing on that Lurk, and he's going for more. Shannon catches another, and 2 fall as MIBR open up A.
And that Lurk is just buying time for the rest of the team to come in. 100 Thieves not expecting anyone to be looking for a second kill, though Cryo can't get it done on backside. Osbos will boost himself up into heaven to back up his teammate. 100 Thieves are going to play for the save.
They're already running out of this one. So MIBR, multiple rounds of these fast kind of contact plays into pops with the breach stun and the dash, and now they slow it all the way down. 100 Thieves is full focus towards B in mid, and Shannon single-handedly catches an amazing timing in A heaven.
Yeah, it's the first time we've really seen them go for the Lurk over on the A side. And also, you can't really feel, I think it's EU there that gets taken down second. Usually, what he's thinking is that MIBR are going to be playing like a 1-3-1 maybe. Shenum is maybe going to have players going through mid, pivoting into him. Remember with that wall in B heaven, 100 Thieves lost complete information over mid. So that's what EU is turning around to deal with. So I actually kind of dig the decision of Shenum to keep going forward on that Lurk because his team rotates and follows him behind him.
Shenum has been so good thus far in Stage 1. MIBR is a team with 3 rookie players, Verno, Shenum, and Cortesia. But Shenum is the one who almost always gets underrated in that mix. Verno, Cortesia, those are guys that are in conversations for Rookies of the Year that were the most hyped players out of NA and Brazilian challengers, respectively. But Shenum, he's been having some really high-impact games, and I think he's been consistently providing value in rounds like that as he lurks.
Yeah, excellent fragger for the team, great finding timings, super effective on the defensive side, too. Can do a little bit of everything.
So a timeout called for 100 Thieves. They're down 5-1 now on their defense.
This is where Zix is going to have to show up for the team because now that last round makes things a little bit more complicated. If he'd been coming into the timeout before that last round, he's probably talking about, hey, we need to maybe play with a little bit more information into mid right off the bat, sort of get in front of things so that we see their fight before they're just unloading their util on us so deep on site. Now it's a bit of a different thing where you have to factor in the options for MIBR to continue looking for the A-Lurks too.
Playing defense with the Sage comp is a little different. 100 Thieves has ran variants of this for a couple years now. They were playing the Sage comp last year as well with the slightly different roster. But not having an info sentinel means that there's a lot of opportunities if MIBR wants to slow down to work players up ramp, work players late into B main, and put a lot of pressure there.
It's also not like 100 Thieves have like the Sky of old. Their only info tool is going to be the Tejo drone. And then the 40 seconds when your wall is down, you don't really have to worry about that space on the map. But it means that 100 Thieves are more forced to proactively take space, and that's why I like their setup this round. Breach done, ready in main, off contact, and 2 players swinging from ramp.
MIBR's going into it quickly. Osbot's ahead of the play, but Austin is stunned. He gets the job done, and MIBR tuck tail.
And now look into mid. Cryo sees 2 players. Wall will come out, but it's a bad wall. Artsen's in front of this and pins Cryo back into the corner. Now the blast to come through, but Cryo sees the opportunity to duck away.
The round slows down a little bit. A lot happens in the first 20 seconds, but now MIBR works space into vents. We'll put a little pressure B heaven as well.
Yeah, these players getting seen on drone might be the cue for Artsen to search for a little something here.
He's walking up towards A main, and he's with Bustio on the other side. As Asuna, over towards vents, picks off Artsen.
Yeah, his teammates had gone for the spam, so he thought he could maybe find a timing. 100 Thieves have beautiful information over the A side, now creeping up right on the corner of the orb.
This position for EU is great. He got 2 kills in heaven here just a few rounds ago, but Shenum is working through this. Wanted to fight towards Fun. Now he heads out towards Rafters, but the spray's missing. Cryo has the protection in Cortesia. This should just be too many odds. That's 1 kill found though. And all 1v1 against Cryo! How has Cortesia found that?
And now the ultimate to pick up the spike in heaven with only 20 seconds left. He's back onto B.
A 1v1 against the IGL. Cortesia holds the angle. Another tap. Boostio on the jump.
10 seconds left.
Cortesia waits. Plant's coming in. Boostio drop towards Hell. Cortesia on the swing. It's damage. Down to 11 HP. But time now working in his favor. In the smoke, Boostio just barely bails 100 Thieves out with the right-click classic.
Doing a bit of dancing there around the smoke. I love that look. Cortesia almost had that one. 4 kills out of seemingly nowhere. And that's a round where, honestly, I think 100 Thieves dealt with MIBR just about perfectly until this moment. His 3rd kill has been unfortunate for Cryo, but that 4th one is just insane.
Nice call. Let's go. That's the champs winner.
Champs winning right click? Not even close.
It's a round winner, that's for sure.
Yeah.
100 Thieves are going to need all of those they can muster.
There's going to be another fight in A main. Same trap setup for 100 Thieves. Same idea for MIBR. Thrown up. Stun ready to go.
Ooh, the TP.
Cortez just passed it, and it's 1-for-1 on the trade, but a great stun onto EU, and Cortesia converts 6 kills in the last few minutes here.
Keep your eyes on Boostio. That's my champs winner inside of the smoke. They're jumping into his smoke. It's a 1-for-1. Sight belonging to MIBR.
But Cryo has a Sage res, and he wants to fight back down ramp. MIBR realize they're
like
protecting this body. 3 players ready to challenge Cryo. Swinging into him. MIBR try and trade out, but it's down to a 1-on-1, and Cryo nearly got the kill. But it's Verno coming up big instead.
Couple of close rounds here back-to-back. Well played from Verno to get the trade from his teammates. That'll come after a split-second call, like you were saying with the Sage Reds coming online. MIBR's choice to continue this ramps fight instead of just taking back into sight. Really nice. I like, too, the slight variations of MIBR, right? Instead of going for like a dash play onto ramps with the jet, it's an Omen teleport, capitalizing off his teammate's stun. Enough for 2 kills there, and he's having a game.
100 Thieves are down on their luck again. An eco round here. And this half is well and truly snowballed for MIBR.
Thieves are going to have to capitalize off their ultimates in the next round. Their comp can be pretty annoying on the attacking side if they're in post-plant situations with the Sage Wall, but prior to that, a little bit more challenging. Not many lurk options like you'd have with a Viper comp like MIBR running.
The fact that MIBR wasn't sending these execs off the rip, but was always doing it off contact. Okay. That time Shenom actually gets punished on the lurk. And
Asuna farming the orbs too. That's going to be pretty impactful in the next round.
Sage slows into heaven. MIBR want to split towards B here.
Certainly taking their time for now. Again, just going for the contact plays.
It's a dink connected, but Nosbus gets 1 kill. Cryo spotted out on the side, and MIBR, as long as they check on Xander, which they will, it should all be okay. Into a 4-on-2. Boostio in mid gets a kill with the Sheriff. Now it's only a 1-player deficit. 2 guns, a rolling thunder. This becomes winnable. But Ospas holding the line. Both players. 1 shot to his Outlaw. Rolling thunder used. And the Outlaw connects. MIBR, they steal away the ultimate. And they take the round regardless.
Yeah, a bit of a gamble there from Boostio. Feeling like 100 Thieves had a chance in it, but the positioning of MIBR was just never going to get punished by an ability like that. That Outlaw coming in very nicely. And again, MIBR just sort of playing this game where they're taking very confident gunfights. They're not always using utility to set up the fight, but there's always utility to follow it, right? 100 Thieves have been struggling. That round, understandable on the low guns, but now, with an attack op in Osboss's hands, good luck, 100 Thieves.
And this is going to completely change the way they play their attack side. That's why it's been these contact plays into pops with the breach stun, the tail missiles coming in. Here, they're going to take their time with that operator, and then late round, trade it over, go for an exit.
I mean, the best proof of this is look at Spawn. There's a spike back there.
We don't need that.
They're gonna be taking their sweet time. I like the op too, because the last few rounds, 100 Thieves have adapted to the slow play of MIBR by simply going for some more forward angles, whether it's, that A space we saw Austin get the first blood last round, or the high-low we've seen them run a couple of times over on the B side. So he's just waiting for that overstep and looking for that pick.
Shenom's getting to work towards A, putting a little pressure here with his util going up.
Yeah, wall was placed in mid, by the way. Should be down, I believe, around the 30-second mark.
Now MIBR start to inch out of B main.
MIBR right now, we're waiting for that Viper lurk to pay off into the site. You can see kind of getting in front of the orb.
Ospas pops Blades. He wants to send this one into B. The Blade Storm up and over the top is denied by Xander. 100 Thieves hold B, and Atsuno arrives with his rocket, trying to find a target in the smoke. He's gone too far and now spamming back through. MIBR reply.
Yeah, but that kill's coming over on the A side of the map. There's just not really time.
Yeah,
the round's
down.
just simply over.
10 seconds left.
And that's the downside of playing with the operator. You don't find anything with it, and you end up with these...
Yeah.
I don't know, it felt like Ospas thought he had a timing that he ended up not really having, and they rushed into the exec to give him the chance.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got the knives, so there's always a chance there. Sure. But I can't help but feel like on a round like that where you are heavy slow playing with the op, that you want your lurker to do something a little bit more. But I think what the issue was for Shenom is he doesn't want to do anything super aggro on the other side because his team was playing so quietly, right? They weren't giving a lot of information over to 100 Thieves. So it's very hard to find good lurk timings when, the rest of your team isn't pulling any attention away from you. Especially with that mid wall down the entire time, just about.
No op this time.
Boostio has the glass op. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I was looking at Ospas, maybe Cryo. You gotta glance down a little further to see Boostio with that one.
Yeah, you'd hate to have Cryo opping on your team.
No, especially with how he's been playing this split.
Boostio always loves going into the op though, and see how he calls it too? Like, he's playing solo over towards the A side just to take one shot and uses stun to stall, so his team can fight into mid, finding a beautiful kill as the smoke falls, spotting the spike too.
And there's the op for Boostio, bringing out onto Shenom.
That's the whole idea.
100 Thieves keeps the pressure high in mid. And MIBR, losing 2 players this late into the round, still don't really have anything to work with here.
Yeah, have to break the wall just to keep some amount of threat alive, but 100 Thieves have not given up this space really at all. Only now falling back a little deeper into heaven. Because it's late on the clock, 100 Thieves can set up that crossfire. Falling off of Cryo's contact here.
30 seconds
Cryo
left.
wide on the angle. And good with the shots. Ospas dead. The next player steps up to the plate, and they're out too. Just Verno in a 1v5 that he already knows he's not winning.
All right, so in these last 2 rounds that 100 Thieves have just kind of stuffed MIBR completely. Really, 2 rounds ago, that was MIBR just taking things too slow on their own, I feel like, and sort of running themselves out of the game in a way. This last round, I like 100 Thieves' decision to go for a mid-fight. That's something we had not seen from them at all. So you were sort of expecting the read from MIBR after the slow round to be punish mid, which worked so well for them earlier on into the half. And that decision to put Boostio with the op over here pays off for him.
Enemy remaining.
And just good coordination from the B anchors. Set up some good crossfires, and now put us to the 12th rounds of the half. MIBR have a rolling thunder, have a pit for the post plant, and I think they want to pick up the pace.
I wonder if they actually exec into the site. So far, we've only really seen mid, B, and ramps looks from them.
A new hand touches the operator. EU's got it this round. Oh no, he trades it at the last second over to Boostio. Still one of these anchors on A.
As if Boostio's going to let another initiator take the op.
Rolling Thunder used. Counter stun from Boosty. But out onto the site is Ospas, getting away from the utility as the ult in gets some help. Spike still yet to ford the river, and Ospas has to hold, keep 100 Thieves out of this site, but they're just at the gates, ready to start this flood. In goes the utility, and out comes 100 Thieves, already on this site. MIBR have 4 players, all trying to find safety in the pit, but Cryo won't let them stand! Cryo for 3, Verno runs in, and it's a desperate game at this point. Austin already holding on the spike, and 100 Thieves lock up a 5th round. This half started so poorly for them, but they rally back and make it competitive with a beautiful retake.
Oh yeah, 3 in a row, and the retake usually was great there. Boostio has the blast going over into elbow, and then Cryo lands a slow orb on everyone else in backside, so none of those MIBR players can move. They're just trying to hold hands together, try to trade. Nice. And it's Cryo spamming them through the smoke. No problem.
MIBR still up by 2 as we head to the halftime break.
You might have heard I'm going through a little upgrade with my tats. So when Verizon announced that everyone gets a free phone on any plan, pain-free, count me in. Try and beat it. I'll give you a sec.
Well, MIBR leads 7-5 in this first half of the playoffs over 100 Thieves. Osbus, despite coming out the better of that half, felt a little worse for wear in the individual performance, 5-8 to end, but this is one of those maps on defense where he takes over. Once he gets that op in his hands, he is going to be a massive problem for 100 Thieves.
Exactly. You're really going to be picking the Jet here to get value, be able to take some pretty forward fights on the defensive side. You know, Desk was talking a lot about the duelist head-to-head. Of course, this is a map where Cryo's going to be rocking the Sage, but my eyes don't deceive me. I believe 100 Thieves are going to be headed Osbos's way, and he's got a Sheriff here on the pistol.
"100 Thieves." With
Oh,
these
wait,
breach-
whoa. Mimi, that clock isn't counting down.
Yeah, wait a minute.
I was wondering, like, why we're going for the slow zoom here on that green
It was very
triangle?
cinematic. I was feeling the moment, the tension, and now maybe we're doing a VCT EMEA impression here.
Been informed it's an audio issue.
You see the...
That's why he's taking off his headset.
Yeah, the
if
referee
anyone's
out there to
curious,
help.
yep. I'm on top of those things, don't worry.
Yeah, looks like new in-ears already getting flown out to him.
Oh, Boostio's also playing with his ears. Just making sure those in-ears are all the way in, you know?
It's wild that Boostio, every year he's like been a pro player in VCT Americas, has had a haircut so different that he looks like a different person.
Because he was Gecko last year, right?
He was doing his Gecko impression.
That's crazy.
And now he's got like the whole perm thing going on.
He's a shapeshifter, honestly.
Yeah, it's wild. Same man though.
I respect it. Kind of like no mustache.
The stash is going back. He said his barber did him a little dirty, but he's working on building it back here.
Yeah. Gotta get the headset figured out first, though.
New in-ears?
Well, the real struggle is when you get it all tangled up.
Yeah.
Because that adds a whole other level. Like, that's not even a tech issue at that point. That's just that's user error.
Insightful commentary.
Yeah.
He's working on it though. Still trying to get plugged back in here.
It's rough though, coming out of the halftime of this. You're getting ready to go. 7 seconds left on the clock. And then no. Pause it just a second. We're gonna lock back in.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Get
we
the
got the
tips on the in-ears.
Look at that technique. That's good stuff.
Can you wear a watch while you play? I find it very
personally, I
disruptive. I always have to take my watch off when I play.
Yeah. Then again, maybe you need to get up there and flex on people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Cortesia is definitely flexing. I don't know enough about watches, but that looks...
It looks like
nice
he can tell
watch.
time, though.
It does look like that.
I bet those hands move, you know?
Yeah, hopefully at a consistent rate and a correct one. Boosty standing up.
Gotta get that blood flowing, the circulation rolling. Like, maybe I need another drink, you know? We got a little bit of time here.
This series is a little interesting because we get this starting map, which is, I think, a pretty clear example of the difference between these two teams. 100 Thieves, they only play Jet on one map, Icebox, and even there, a lot of teams don't even play that agent. MIBR, they play the most Jet out of any Americas team. They have 5 maps where they lock that agent in, and they put a huge priority in putting Aspas in positions where he gets to play his best agent. As we'll see in this pistol rounds here, set up over towards B as we're out of the tech pause.
And Cortez just doing some serious baiting as well, jiggling that corner. Well, Aspas is hiding core now.
Oh, Cortez actually gets stuck.
Yeah.
And now Aspas has to go good. Make up for his fallen comrade, and that is excellence out of Aspas. A dash away to safety and Artson. Shannon, they arrive to aid the hero in his cause. MIBR shut the door on B.
Pause ends and Aspas just kills you all. Cortezia doing exactly what his job required him there. Just look juicy and like no one else is behind you. That's it. Just the bait on the end of a fishing hook.
Little smile cropping up for Aspas as they win their second pistol round of the game here.
Oh wow, maybe some prep against 100 Thieves here. Aspas going for just the Marshal. You can see no armor of any kind from 100 Thieves, no buy at all on this pistol.
Stun into mid, but back out to safety is Shannon.
Is not long for this world.
A bit of a 2025 Valorant moment down in the vents. Everyone's stunned up, but Garno gets the opener.
What is he doing there?
I love how creative the players have gotten with the movement on the Teo drone to avoid getting shot.
It's like jump peeking with the drone.
It's its own minigame. Artscene steps into main, gets an easy kill onto Xander.
Oh, don't take your stun out there.
That's fine.
I don't know.
The spray gets a little messy.
How's Cryo over there on site? What's going on?
Spike down A. 30 seconds left.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the spike. One of the key parts of getting that plant money.
There's some low players, though. I can see, okay, not if it's Cortezia that's taking
on
the first
that
contact.
Angle too. I don't take the ghost any day of the week.
No, don't like that.
9 to 5 up for MIBR now.
And that was a pretty light buy coming in from MIBR. A Stinger, a Marshal on the other side. I was wondering if, yeah, they're going to buy a few rifles going in, but this sets them up, even on a round lost, to have money for the next and possibly even be good enough for a half buy the round after if they lose a couple in a row.
Crucially, Aspas not having to invest in that Outlaw and just getting the Marshal instead means that he's going to have money for an round 4, or the 4th round of the half, I should say, no matter what happens here.
That's kind of the win condition on the defensive side. When you're locking in the Jet here, win pistol, get yourself that off online early. If you lose those early rounds, it can be really tough to actually build up econ to make that happen.
Teo drones traded towards A ramp.
Looks like 100 Thieves are taking a page out of the MIBR book, right? Just pretty full contact up here until we actually get to ramp. Then a flash in, now fault line to peek a little bit deeper.
This feels like a classic 100 Thieves Sage comp on attack. Maybe wall off over towards vent, split into the A site, or at least put the pressure that you might be doing that.
I wonder if they're considering cutting back into mid here. 100 Thieves really don't have a lot of information.
They're committed. Up goes the wall. In goes the util to take heaven control. But immediately MIBR fighting back in. It's not successful though. Austin are the one to open this round.
Yeah, this wall is super frustrating, right? MIBR, how do you retake heaven when you actually can't pinch in from vents? Gotta have a player ramp or something. Now there's that lurk going down against you as well, so Shenham's just out of the round.
MIBR down to a 3v5. 100 Thieves in a great position here. The wall means Cryo has safe hands controlling Heaven.
Yeah, how easy is it to hold Heaven? It's even just 1 or 2 players, right? You got the wall there. There's no possible flank coming in because your Astra's hanging out in mid. So 100 Thieves can afford to play these very forward positions up in Heaven and really get easy trades almost every time.
Cryo. Taken down. MIBR. They have no chance to win this round. I'm going to try and get a little bit of extra damage on their way out the door. Aspas will get 1 and try and find a timing onto Bucio, but the shots aren't connected. And so that's 100 Thieves getting up to 6 here.
Yeah, so simple adjustments for MIBR moving out after a round like this is, A, you can just fight more aggressively for ramps control, because, again, retaking Heaven with that wall is exceptionally difficult. So either fight in front of that position and make that impossible, or maybe, you know, get a player to play out rafters so you have some other option for a crossfire. You can actually hold on to this position a little bit better.
Enemy remaining.
A, you can just fight more aggressively for ramps control, because, again, retaking Heaven with that wall...
Very casual stand-up for Bucio. Starting this series with 2 maps that are basically running back 2024 comps for 100 Thieves. Just to tell you a little different on this one.
Aspas will have that op here, and he is going to be fighting over ramps, it looks like.
Stun onto Cortesia. He's up in the open on B again. This time not baiting for Aspas. Just holding the site alone for now.
Big round coming in. Not a lot of ults in play, but see how Aspas is creeping forward into the A space. Like, there's a lot of information over to MIBR. So Verno's going to rotate over into vents and have the option to potentially refight mid after using this utility to force 100 Thieves out of that mid smoke.
100 Thieves look like they want to group back towards A, but that's exactly where Aspas is holding.
Yeah, and EU doesn't have the drone up. That is a big miss to not have here.
The final boss holding down the line. They're ready on the swing. Aspas steps off.
Oh, nice.
Stunned up.
Really
with
good
the pullback
util.
star, he could find another shot. Another angle. Over the top is Asuna, and the operator not the weapon for that job. Shenom, he wanted to fight back in towards ramp as his team floods out onto site.
Verno still backside right now. Has an opportunity to shut this down, and he does with 2 kills. Now the rest of his team popping out of Heaven. But 100 Thieves have managed to equalize. 2-on-2 now. And yet with only 20 seconds, they have to fight in. Verno isn't going to let it happen. And MIBR are up to 10.
What a hold from Verno. Just a little bit of stall provided by Aspas on the site. And MIBR taking no time to flood in. He looks so precise, picking off those 3 kills.
Yeah.
14-4 this map for the youngster.
You know, I've got to respect 100 Thieves' utility going in there between the Astra Star to Bucio having the flash ready to go with. They dealt with Aspas. It was the backline that ruined them.
And the implications of that round are harsh. 100 Thieves does not have money. They've not earned any real round-winning ultimates, and they're trying to dive into mid. Asuna, you know he's going to get at least 1 there.
Hold on now. 4-on-3 for 100 Thieves. Cryo's 1 off of the orb to have the ulti online.
Cortesia is stuck here. Wall up towards Heaven. 4 players pinching onto him.
Good dodge.
Worried about different. The knife is out! Oh, Cortesia. He's fumbled that one a little bit.
It's Bustio's jumping right-click classic again that takes him down.
Aspas picks up a stinger now. I didn't see what gun he had to start the round. I think the op and then just left it back in a safer position.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure they didn't hear him switching over to the gun, so he dropped that a little bit deeper, but the save call on an anti-eco is brutal, and it comes down to that mail dive. 100 Thieves increasing the tempo immediately at the start of the round. Nice little combo piece from Bucio and Asuna there to start things off the right way.
Yeah, I think Bucio's util has looked really nice thus far for these little set plays. We saw how much success MIBR was having with similar ideas on their attack half.
Thrifty.
That's going to pull the gap down to 3. Really big round to win. If they had lost this, they would be looking at 1 more rifle round, basically, between them and losing their map pick.
Could have been brutal. I mean, let's watch this dive again. Getting in front of the orb, so not even decayed is Asuna. Oh.
Is that a scroll wheel weapon change, I feel like?
It wasn't pretty. That's what I feel like. Either way, you're not going to be happy with that one.
We can watch his POV. Oh, he flicks. I think it was the scroll wheel that got him.
Brutal.
That's tough. 100 Thieves will take it, though.
But again, it's pistol round, except this time instead of a Sheriff, Osboss has the op. And he got 2 with the Sheriff last time. In that exact position. So just 100 Thieves baiting it out with the util, now moving back towards A.
Yeah, they've conditioned that setup 2 rounds now to allow themselves to have a later pop on B.
Now a drone just went into A main and didn't see anything. So Artisan steps forward, stunned to take this fight.
And he still goes 1 for 1 with it.
But that's the ultimate that now MIBR won't be able to tag into.
Stun for Verno. Asuna, good with the movement. He's always stellar. Diving in like he does there.
100 Thieves don't have control of Heaven though. Cortez has already made it back into sight. Shenum's been called on in.
The res. That'll bring Xander back into a 5-on-3 for 100 Thieves. But they're re-hitting into this one. Shenom's still here. Holding the line on ramp. The op in heaven, but it's Cortesia! He's the man to do it! Locks down 3 kills in main. And now 100 Thieves are sent scrambling.
30 seconds left though. 100 Thieves may have heard the rotate from Shenum over towards the B side. So instead, looking to pinch back into the A site. Osboss is turned around. But now that spike is headed over to B, and that would be brutal if he ran back into Shenum.
Osboss repositions just at the right time. Asuna in the air, he's gone too. The rookie, so good on the anchor. Pulled out his knife last round. This time, he's got the gun up for 4.
Cortez has been on fire today. That is just money. I mean, just mows him down through the smoke. Oh.
He's just tapping at head level, gets 2 kills. And this is exactly what the desk talked about. Osboss right now, 9-10. MIBR still far out in the lead of this game. These new players have taken so much pressure off that star.
Let's speak about the star. Osboss with the op in mid can look to walk out here and get in front of this next play.
100 Thieves use the drone. Osboss tucks and it's broken.
Surely that sells the play. Yeah, already spam shots coming in to catch a retreating Osboss.
On the drop of the orb, he'll get out.
Good work on the start of the round there from 100 Thieves to find the op.
And in return, they'll get space all the way up mid. Put some missiles towards vents. And they're just sending this one. Down into vents goes Asuna. The stun, though. It's so good to block him off and deny this ult really any value in the round.
And Cortez has already ulted back over to the A site behind Sign. 100 Thieves are going to look to flip back towards B.
Or are they?
Just Osboss.
Spike is heading towards A. They want to fake pressure into B and then pull back. Rolling Thunder, that's pulled out from MIBR. The fake, very successful. But still, Cortesia on this site anchoring. Still, Verno in heaven. But he's spotted on the jump peak. Stun eluded by Verno. And now players arriving as Cortesia. Could he do it 2 rounds in a row? Paranoia up, holding down this site as in heaven, 1 by 1. 100 Thieves all start to fall. It's a 5-on-2, 20 seconds, it's desperation into the site, but EU still finding success! Oh my God! It's a nasty one-tap from Verno, and that's gonna lock this round up. The shorty in hand. Asuna, no choice but to save.
Just another round here. MIBR have gotten the better of these mid-rounds. 100 Thieves will continue to try and go for these pivots into mid, these fake-out looks. But MIBR haven't really flinched, and their anchors have been good for it every single time.
Cortesia that round TP's into A really early. It almost looks like a mistake, but he holds his position and it's rewarded so deep in the late rounds here.
Yeah, and again, as he's taking those fights,
guys.
you've got Verno coming out of elbow, shutting it down, so it'll be Zix calling a timeout on map point.
100 Thieves, it feels like they've had a lot of success getting these first kills for Asuna, diving into mid, catching someone off guard, but like you mentioned, where they're really struggling is hitting in the late rounds and just getting mowed down by players on the anchor. The amount of 2, 3, even 4Ks that MIBR's anchor players are getting has been killing 100 Thieves these last few rounds.
Feels like with the amount of like map control they're playing with, the round shouldn't be so hard for them to maneuver. You'd imagine, right? So I wonder if for 100 Thieves, they might be better served instead of going for like the very loud fake plays, if they leave a potential lurker in B heaven there.
Get like an embed, let them work on the lurk. We saw Chenom find a lot out of that in the first half.
Right now, they're not pivoting back into their teammates. They're pivoting into space they think is empty or they think is light. It's a guessing game for 100 Thieves, and they need to play with more real information and just play around, you know, some kills from their team straight up.
Or maybe the answer is to just pick up the pace. 5 of them ready to go outside A this round.
That's certainly the one-size-fits-all solution. The problem is, with the breach positioning over here in the corner, if it's a ramps dive, that stun is brutal, and Verno is going to eat them up.
Which way do they go? 100 Thieves. Start the round slow. Pull back star in main, now a pop. Heading into the site, but the stun, the missiles, and the hits are already countered out. Players are arriving for MIBR. The re-hit coming in, but Verno is in a position to flood. Osbos is here, and Artson on the site, not able to find any value. But the supportive players for MIBR on the scene of the crime and ready to find their mark in this round. Into a 2-on-3. The site secured, the plant coming down.
How did Xander get that spike? There was an op holding it, but Osbos fell off the angle for just a moment. Now with the knives popped, Osbos works heaven on his own as Cortesia moves slowly on the flank.
Nice from EU. Shuts down Osbos and only one man left. A 1v3 for Cortesia. First player in heaven. Cortesia knows he was here a little earlier in the round. But not a lot of time to work with in EU. Well timed on the swing. Keeps 100 Thieves in it for another round.
Okay, so 5-player exec was the solution there. 100 Thieves do have the breach ult if they want to keep that going into the next round. The ult cycles wouldn't be so bad for them. Potentially Teo coming in the round after this too. Baiting out Verno's ult in that round is going to be meaningful for them. And I'm looking at the minimap right now. 100 Thieves are just getting ready for another A-slam. If they want to mix it up, maybe this is the time they go for that heaven control and slow down the round in the aftermath.
This time rotates are a lot farther away for MIBR.
Yeah, well, it's also MIBR on a light buy. Only one rifle. Just guessed wrong on the stack, but comes 100 Thieves to heaven, and down goes Verno.
So it's the same exec with the stage hold to block offense.
And again, if 100 Thieves can get in positions like this, the round should become very, very simple. As long as, you know, Cortesia isn't backside getting a 3K.
This time he's not, so good news for 100 Thieves.
MIBR's only real option to retake from a position like this would be to have some kind of flank pressure coming in, or someone just going absolutely beast mode. Going out from screens into elbow. Good news for 100 Thieves is they also, on the anti-eco, didn't have to use the Rolling Thunder. And if you're looking at the actual amount of rounds you have left, okay, you need to win 3 more rounds after this. One of those could be a breach ult. You're going to have the Teo ult for the next one. Maybe we get Raze Astra online for the last. Start to believe a little bit more than you did a few minutes ago.
MIBR players to run towards the spike and meet their inevitable fate. Leaving only Osbos to hold on to his rifle.
Artson did save up to get Osbos an op. Wonder if that's going to be the call. And it looks like it is.
100 Thieves have done a great job thus far of pushing Osbos off these early lines. A combination of pullback smoke, using their refreshable utility, and having Asuna dive in means Osbos hasn't really gotten many impactful first kills with the op.
Yeah, it's clear the prep coming into this series for 100 Thieves has been to deny those early lines to Osbos. But it's that later phase, that mid-game, where 100 Thieves are getting muddied up.
100 Thieves, they conditioned the stun into B-main quite a few rounds earlier in this half. But this time they're ready to actually pop off of taking the space. Everyone here. Lucio with the Rolling Thunder.
Xander is still slow playing A-side for a late lurk.
Cortesia on the site. Artson up in heaven as well. The Rolling Thunder is in. MIBR can't dodge it and plucked out of. And it's back to a 4-on-4.
Spike planted.
100 Thieves in great positions too, with players flooding out from CT. So MIBR are going to focus on reclaiming Heaven. If Cryo falls, this hold from 100 Thieves could be rough.
EU has the Teo ult. Maybe to fight back into Heaven. No, Spawn the choice. And Verno's down. So it comes down to just the players fighting from Heaven, and 100 Thieves proactive on this site, holding forward angles, push MIBR back to an.
Look, if 100 Thieves are planting the spike, their post plant is gnarly. When 100 Thieves are able to control the rounds and get in those positions that they've worked on, it becomes pretty challenging. And I'm looking at things. MIBR, it's not getting any easier. Gonna have a couple of rifles. The op going into the next round, but very likely being decided on the last round of regulation here. Oh, the moonshot.
That was nice from Cryo.
Pick them up. Yoink.
Timeout called for MIBR now.
That is their first of the game, for the record.
Yes, they were in control for basically all of the first half. Won the pistol in the second. It's impressive 100 Thieves is even still in this game, getting double pistol, losing the bonus in the first half, and how it was looking for quite a while there.
And good news for MIBR, even if they lose this round, they can call a timeout next round too. You know, really
Nico
make...
Soti, you have one more.
Or the famous back-to-back.
It's been a while since we've seen that one.
I mean, right now, the money, I know we can't see it right now, but MIBR are in a weird position because they technically have enough to buy if they go for a Judge or maybe a Guardian on a couple of players. But if they do that and it falls apart, obviously next round rough. But if they don't, they have to make sure their operator survives into the next round because they wouldn't have enough to rebuy that, I don't think. This timeout about a lot of things, how they actually approach this next round, potentially round 24. The buy here, it's going to be 2 judges. This is forbidden technology.
To be fair, 100 Thieves has been going for a lot of these pops where they're putting all of their util on stunning and missing the side anchors. So it might be a gap for a Judge close into a smoke.
I like that MIBR are dividing up the judges too. You've got one in the Omen over towards B, the other is playing close A on the breach.
Both circuit courts, so to speak.
Exactly. And you got the teammates do a bit of baiting. Ospas has that off, but misses the shot.
Oh, it's unlike him. And now he's running all the way back as Asuna happily takes space on ramp.
B main is going to be the next focus of the contest. Cortezia has a Judge, and the rest of 100 Thieves need to get through him.
And they're heading right into it. The smoke fading. Cortezia, Judge in the corner. One swings in, a second. Cortezia mows them down with the Judge.
And 100 Thieves can't even accelerate into the site. Look at Asuna. Asuna's back in spawn. He was doing some late baiting over on the A side.
And here comes Verno. Here comes Ospas, MIBR. They're ready to hold down B.
I mean, even the positioning in mid from MIBR gives perfect info.
Another missed shot from Ospas.
Not been his day so far. For MIBR as a team, it certainly has.
Stuns miss. Vernos does as well, so Asuna gets out into a smoke, and that's a free kill on Tortson.
Hold on.
Maybe still a chance in this yet, because Ospas is low, but he doesn't miss this time. Xander, 1 versus 3. Ospas not finding that shot, but his team has got his back. And MIBR, 13-10, take their opponent's map pick and start this series with a win.